Texas Tech finishes the drill against them. They get the win. And Texas fans are already up in arms. Like, how do we sort this out? Because they had a double-digit lead. And so does this say more about Texas or does it say more about Texas Tech?
I think it says something about both of them, right? Because you've got a situation at Texas, just like we're talking about,
right?
Until they can get over the hump, right?
Yep.
And let's just be honest, right? The Texas fan can't understand how they can lose to Iowa State or how they can lose to
Kansas State or Texas
like
Tech.
Oklahoma fans can't understand that either, right?
Right.
That's just the way it is. But for Texas right now, I mean, it is how they handle these next few weeks, because it's going to be brutal. I mean, the fans still expect for them to win these upcoming games.
Even with the quarterback issue.
Yeah, it's a quarterback. We just talked about it earlier, right? It's hard to win those kind of games without a quarterback that can close it out. And they just don't have it right now.
And we got obviously Ewers is hurt. Card is hurt as well. They're both hurt. So I think we have to give them a little grace on that. But
with an average offensive line.
Yes, absolutely.
And being polite. Average.
Felder, is grace the right word? Do we have to give Texas grace?
No.
I mean, they're the University of Texas. They should have guys lined up on the depth chart.
That's
with how recruiting works, Texas should go to Lubbock every single time and win, and it shouldn't even be close.
And that's why I wanted to get to you on this, because they should, because we're going to talk about Oklahoma too. But how much grace should we give them?
None. Zero. They have more resources than anybody in the conference. And for a decade now, they have not found a way to get it done. A year or two here and there where it was okay, but the University of Texas that I grew up watching, that you guys grew up watching, was dominant. You're going to expect them to be in the Cotton Bowl every year, back in Southwest Conference days. You're expecting to compete for a Big 12 title every year, so on and so forth. And now it's like, they can't, Coach, you mentioned it, can't get over the hump. And so I've always said this goes way past a quarterback issue. I don't think it's a head coach issue. I think they've got a great head coach in Steve Sarkisian that's doing really good things down there. I think it is a systemic university donor athletic department issue. And I'm not pointing the finger at one person saying they're all bad people, but it just hasn't been turned around. And I don't know what it takes to turn it around.
Wait. It says the guy who played at both Oklahoma and A&M. Right?
Yeah, screw those guys.
Well, I get it. No,
but I would maybe I am a little harsh. I'm a little biased, but I do think that there's a problem. I do think that there's a problem there, and it's apparent in the win and loss column, and that's the most important thing. To touch on the quarterbacks really quickly, I think you guys said it, right? Hudson Card's not the answer to go and be a championship winning quarterback, but I'm not so convinced that Quinn Ewers is either.
What's the difference between Hudson Card and Cade McNamara?
Better culture, better system, more confidence.
Not the player, though. It's not the player.
It may not be. Yeah, exactly. There you go. That's a great point. But I think that sometimes we try and look at that position and say, hey, we need a savior at the quarterback position for them to be good. And my point is, I don't think that, let's be honest, like Hudson Card is not a Hendon Hooker. Okay. So like that, they're on different playing fields.
Sure.
That does have some merit. But I don't think that Quinn Ewers is just light years ahead of Hudson Card either.
He's not Trevor Lawrence.
You're right. He played well in a couple drives against Bama, which gave everybody this confidence in him. But he's still got to go out there week in and week out and prove to me that he is that championship winning quarterback. So I'm just not sold all the way around.
You got to remember that it was still a quarterback battle up until roughly a week and a half before the first game.
Bingo.
Right? Yeah. So separation. I was at practice early, and the separation between the two is not that much. And Trevor, you know this, and I've said it at first.
It's an indicator that there's not a gap.
Yeah, I mean, no. But as I've said before, when you have a new quarterback, or it's also on the 10 other players who are on the field at the same time. And right now, Texas doesn't have those guys. They got running back, one of the best running backs in the country. Period. All right. But the whole line is not there. They've got a guy that's a 200-meter guy that's one of the fastest players in the country, but he's 165 pounds. That's what he is.
Yes.
Right? He'll run right by you, but he ain't going to do anything else. Yep. So, what do you have? Who are you, even with a quarterback? The 10 other guys out there are just, with the exception of Bijan, and
they're out there.
And the running back crew, they're solid. But if
I like Roshan. He's great.
Yeah, but if you don't have an O-line, those guys don't matter, right? If you can't protect them, if you can't block and have those guys get where they need to be, their O-line is light years away. Now, maybe the $50,000 that they gave the recruits from last year from NIL guarantees, maybe that's going to help them because they signed some pretty good ones, but they're all young.
Yep. And I think that to talk a little bit about Texas Tech, because we got to give them some credit here.
Yes.
The Texas defense showed us against the reigning Heisman Trophy winner in Alabama that they have what it takes to compete. All right. So allowing 37 points to a Texas Tech ball club that is in turmoil right now, in my opinion, is unacceptable. But let's give credit where credit is due. Joey McGuire had a speech in the locker room after this game, and I was ready to run through a brick wall. That guy's a culture driver. That is a guy that will get his players to play for him. They are going to have a marginal amount of success because he is at the helm, and for no other reason than that. I thought they battled hard. I thought they played harder than Texas. I thought that they wanted it more. It is a home game, so sometimes that's hard to see, but they just appeared to me as though they had a little bit more in the tank when it came down the stretch. And I get it. Bijan Robinson, maybe one of the greatest players to ever come through Texas, which is saying a lot. He's the reason for them losing that game, but he wasn't the reason, right? It was the last play that caused that. But it was a multitude of plays throughout that game that caused it. But hats off to Texas Tech. That's a huge program win.